So it is 9 o'clock Eastern time here in Boston. So I'd like to start and welcome back to many familiar faces I see here. But welcome to those of you who are joining in for the first time today. My name's Allie. I'm a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I've been practicing here in Boston for the last 5 years. I own my own practice here and have been teaching with the Community Online Academy since it started back in March. So today's class is a 30-minute program on stretching and strengthening using the foam roller for spine health. So for this class, it's going to be totally movement-based. Like I said, we'll do some stretching, we'll do some strengthening. We're going to use the foam roller to help enhance our movement patterns, as well as improve our range of motion. And then we're going to take that and build strength off of our new mobility that we find during this class. So if you're just getting set up, you need your yoga mat, towel, or blanket, and then you need your foam roller. So the one I have here is one of the longer ones. There's one exercise you will need to modify if you have a shorter roller. Before we move, just know that everybody's bodies are a little bit different. Everyone is dealing with a little something different, even from day to day. So please, if something doesn't feel right for your body, don't be afraid to take a modification. That being said, I also offer a lot of challenges. So I see a lot of familiar faces here. You guys have been taking my classes week after week. If you're ready for a challenge, give it a try today and see how your body feels. So we're going to start with the roller and lying down on our backs. So I'm going to lie the roller. Let me just tip this down a little bit so you guys have a better view. Okay. So the roller is going to go perpendicular to the length of your mat. Your feet are going to go on the other side of the roller, and then you can lie down onto your back and just find a comfortable position. And then once you have set up in this position, you're going to put the roller under your sacrum, and your sacrum is the bone between your tailbone and your lower back. So it's not going to go on your low back. So you're going to lift your hips up, pull the roller underneath, and place it on your sacrum, okay? It should feel fairly comfortable once you get it there. It might feel a little high. You can kind of adjust it until it feels like a comfortable setup for your body. But once it's there, just take a moment to let your body settle onto the roller. We're gonna focus in, yes?
There's a quick question. There's attendee who says they have had a recent prolapsed disc in their back.
Okay.
So they're asking if this class is suitable for that. Just wanted to check before the class started so they could also join.
Okay, sure. So yes, you can take this class, but I would advise that you take modifications if something doesn't feel right. So this class is suitable for a lot of different types of back injuries. You just want to make sure that if something doesn't feel right, then you take a modification or take a rest, okay? So in this starting position here, we're just allowing the hips to rest down, letting your shoulders rest heavy, and we're going to tune our attention into our breath. So this position here is really nice for our spine because our hips are up a little bit higher than our heart, which creates a decompressive force on our low back. So just by very slightly inverting ourselves, we're taking the compression from gravity away and allowing for a little bit of space between each of our vertebrae. So we're just going to lie here, letting our body settle in. And we're going to take this into a combination of some stretching and some strengthening in just a moment. We'll try one more big breath, inhaling in through your nose. And as you exhale out through your mouth, try closing the two ribs down as though you're trying to press the back of your rib cage into the floor. From that position, take your hands to the sides of the roller. So you're kind of lightly holding the roller with your hands, and lift one leg to a tabletop and the other leg to meet it. So your knees are kind of right on top of your hips, just holding this setup. Now, if you notice your ribs lifted way off the mat when you did that, draw the rib cage down as though you're pressing the backs of your shoulders into the mat. Keep holding onto the roller and slowly see if you can stretch your feet up to the ceiling. If you're very tight in the back of your legs, you may need to keep a soft bend in your knees, and that's fine. But really reach the feet up. You can point and flex your toes a couple of times here, feeling the blood flow start to circulate back to your heart and feeling a nice stretch and length through the back of your legs. Now we're going to take this into a little bit of core work here. So you're going to leave your left leg where it is and slowly drop your right leg away from your body, lifting it back up. Now your left leg, slowly reach it down and lift it back up. Now as you're lowering the leg, see if you can make sure that both ribs stay down. So if you were to measure the space between your ribs and hips, it would stay exactly the same as you move your legs here. Now, if this is feeling comfortable, you can switch your two legs at the same time, kind of like a scissoring motion, like the two legs are moving in harmony from one to the other. Good. This also, if you allow the leg to drop down a little closer to the floor, is a nice stretch for the front of your hip flexor muscle here. So we're getting a stretch through our hamstrings, through our hip flexors, but also starting to warm up our core lightly in this position. Now this is if this feels tricky, I want you to just stay with this, but I have an optional add-on. If you're feeling comfortable, the next time your left leg is up, pause. You're gonna circle the legs out to the side like a helicopter and then switch your legs again. Try that circle out to the side. And this is just to open up our hip joint a little bit. Whatever range of motion works for your body. We'll do one more in this direction. Pause at the top. Now we open the legs in the opposite. If you're getting clicking or popping in your hips, just know that that is normal as long as it is not painful, but try and pull the ribs down to keep your core active and engaged here. We'll try one more time like that. And then you can bend both knees in towards your chest. Keep holding the roller. Very gently rock your legs side to side. This is a nice little massage of some of those lateral glute muscles that rest on the sides and top of our pelvis. Two more like that. Good. Once more here. And then you can place your feet down. Take the roller out from underneath your hips. And we're going to come up to a seated position. From here, we're going to turn the roller to bring it behind our shoulder blades. So it's still perpendicular to the mat. And we're gonna lie down, lining up the roller right below our shoulder blades, knees bent, feet flat, and then hold your head with your hands. And make sure you're holding your head, not your neck here. Also, if you have a hood on or longer hair, take that out of the way because you are gonna roll and you don't want that to get stuck on the roller. So from this position, we're going to start to work into our upper back. So lift your bottom up and you're going to roll right to the top of your shoulder blades and the bottom of your neck, and then roll down to just below your shoulder blades, but not past that point. So you're just gently rolling back and forth along the length of your spine here. And with this back and forth rolling, you want to notice perhaps any spots of tightness, but also any areas that feel different from side to side. And we're just very gently rolling here to start to loosen up the muscles, but you may get some cracking and popping in your upper back, which is normal here. That's telling us that we're getting some mobility. And our upper back is where most of us tend to be quite stiff in our spine. And it may actually limit your range of motion. Even if you feel pain in your lower back, it may be affecting how your lower back moves. Good. So as you roll back and forth here, you can always pause if and when you feel a tight spot and place your bottom down. From there, you're going to slowly drop your head, neck, and shoulders over the back side of the roller. But in doing so, notice how your rib cage wants to lift up. That's actually going to take away from the stretch in your upper back. So you want to try and keep your ribs down, draping just your chest bone over the shape of the roller and holding, even if that means you can't go quite as far. You can lift up out of that posture, keeping the head heavy in the hands, and then drop back once again. I find this easier to do with my elbows nice and narrow by the sides of my head. From there, I may go back to my rolling, so kind of continuing along the full length of the spine, getting right up to the base of my neck, and then down below to my shoulder blades. And I may find a different spot, placing my bottom down and then draping my back again over the shape of the roller. So you can play around with that, and I want you to find the spots that work the best for your body or where you feel like you need the most attention, which may be different from me and maybe different from your neighbors. Now, as you're rolling, especially if you're noticing a big side-to-side difference, you can tip your right elbow towards your right hip, and that's going to open up the left side of your body here. You can also do the opposite, bringing your left elbow towards your left hip and just rolling back and forth, opening the right side of your body. And just notice where you need a little bit more attention. You can spend a little bit more time on that side or maybe equal time on both if that feels like the right option for your body. The other add-on you can do here is to rotate, turning one elbow up to the ceiling with the other elbow down towards the floor. In that position, you're going to get a little bit more into your side body and your lat. So you can notice how one side feels compared to the other. And then again, maybe choosing to spend a little bit more time in this alignment if that's what your body feels like it needs. And we're going to do a little bit of strengthening work in a moment for our lat muscles. The lats themselves are a shoulder muscle, but they do attach all the way down to our lower back. So they play a big influence on the support for our spine, as well as the flexibility of our spine. Nice work, guys, here. Just make sure that as you're rolling, you're continuing to breathe, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. It can feel a little bit stressful doing this, just because we are mobilizing the rib cage itself. So just allow your breath to be comfortable and natural. 2 more rolls. Good, and last time. Okay, and go ahead and place your bottom down. You can sit yourself on up and take a nice deep breath. So that type of rolling that we just did is for your upper back, and you can do that type of rolling anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And you can do that a couple times a day. So that type of rolling is something that is really good if you spend a lot of time sitting, and you can also do with some frequency without any damage to your body. So we're going to build in a little bit of strength now in that same position. So we'll keep the roller where it is, but flip on over to an all-4 setup where your hands are on top of the roller with the hands about underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. So it's like you're in a little elevated all-4s position. Now, once you're in this setup, purposely let your ribs sag to the floor and then draw your rib cage up away from the floor. Try that once again. Purposely let the ribs sag and then draw your ribs up and away. Can you take your shoulders down away from your ears, long through the top of your head? Now, without letting the shoulders hike by the ears, you're going to roll the roller forward, dropping your chest down. Maybe the roller comes to your elbows, and then you're going to pull back to that start position. So I like to think of the way a dog stretches their paws in the morning. I'm going to keep my tailbone flaring up to the ceiling, pulling myself all the way back up. Press out and stretch, and then pull the roller back in, but take the shoulders down away from the ears. So it's easy here to really let the shoulders hike up. Make sure that you set the shoulder blades down, taking the chest up tall each time you roll back in. This also doubles as a really nice foam roll for your forearms. If you're someone who does a lot of typing or writing or drawing, this could be a really nice add-on to keep your forearms flexible and comfortable. We'll try 4 more like this. Pull that roller back up and in. Good. Last 3, press down into both hands together. That's it, guys. 2. Good. And 1 more time here. Pull all the way up. And then you can turn and place your bottom down. We're going to go back to that foam rolling position, but this time to do a little bit of abdominal work. So we'll set up in the same way with the roller just below your shoulder blades. So it's kind of touching the very base of your shoulders with your knees bent, feet flat. And then hold your head with your hands. Now, when we talk about the position of how to get your abdominals active, you'll hear me talk a lot about the position of the rib cage. So I want you guys to feel how your ribs they're holding the roller nice and still right now. We're going to try and do some leg movements, but I want you to keep the roller still by pressing the back and bottom parts of your ribs into the roller. So without moving your chest, simply try marching one leg up at a time. And you'll feel that as you lift your leg, your back wants to lift away from the roller. I want you to keep your back pressing into the roller, like I'm almost coming around and I'm trying to take that roller away from you. So see if you can continue to press, letting your head be relaxed and heavy in your hands. Now, if this is feeling particularly easy here, just with this marching movement, go ahead and try lifting one leg and then the other leg. Now, if you lifted and all of a sudden your back arched and that roller moved, go back to that marching movement. Otherwise, you can stay in this alignment and start to press one leg out, pull it back in, opposite leg out, pull it back in. So you're reaching, and you're reaching out only as far as you can go, keeping that roller super strong and steady back behind you. You can extend the legs down a little bit lower for a challenge, or up a little bit higher for a modification. You can also come back to that simple marching movement here. Good. 4 more. 3 more. Nice, guys. Last 2. Last time here, and come all the way up. And take a little breath. That one is always much harder than I think it looks. But it's a great way to practice how to keep your rib cage down when doing your abdominal work. So we're going to get into our glutes next, and we're going to do some strengthening for the glutes in a moment. But before we strengthen, we're going to try and loosen up the tissue, bringing in a little extra blood flow. So let's go ahead and sit down right on top of the roller. We're going to focus. Let me move to the center so you guys can see me a little better here. We're going to focus on one side, then the other. I'll do my left side so I can face you guys first. So I will put my left hand down. I'm going to turn my body to the left and very gently start to roll along the glute muscles. The glutes are the muscles on the back of your hip, and they're a pretty broad muscle. There's actually a bunch of small muscles that make up that area in the back of your hip. So different people are going to feel tight in different spots. So some people might want to face more up towards the ceiling, and you might feel quite a bit of tightness or tension there. Some people might want to turn a little bit more to the side to get into the more lateral glute muscles, and you may feel more tightness and tension there for your body. Just know that if you roll all the way to your side, I will demo here, and you're on top of your hip bone, that is not going to feel great. Our bones do not like to be rolled over, and it is not effective to roll over bone. So be cautious with that spot. You can, however, roll up a little bit higher than you think towards the back top part of your pelvis. There are muscles that go across the back of your pelvis. We were actually rolling those muscles a little bit when we were lying on our back with our knees in towards our chest. Now, if you'd like to add on, you can take your right leg on top of your left to put a little bit more weight into that left hip. And if that's too much, you can always go back to that regular position we started in. Make sure your left shoulder is in a good position, that it's not being stressed. And just gently rolling back and forth here. We're going to take this over to the other side now by placing our right hand down, turning our body towards the right, and starting to roll into that right glute muscle. Now, you want to spend about a minute or 2 on each muscle group and each side. So I know it feels like we may, especially if this is your first time, move quickly through this. If you want to go back and spend a little bit more time because a certain area is particularly tight, you can do that. And just know that this type of rolling that we're doing, where we're rolling over the muscle itself, This type of rolling you want to do maybe 2 or 3 days a week, but not more than that. And that's because we are creating micro damage in the muscle that helps the muscle to then heal. But you need time to allow that muscle to heal from these teeny tiny micro damages we create with the foam rolling. Again, on this right side, you can turn your chest up towards the ceiling a little bit more, or you can stay rotated. You also have the option of crossing your left ankle on top of your right thigh to add a little bit more body weight if that feels good for you on this side. Good. We'll spend just another moment here. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and take that roller back underneath our knees and roll ourselves down onto the floor. Okay, so we're gonna get into some strengthening now for the glute muscles. So they should be very warm. I think it helps our brain connection to figure out where our glutes are so that we can use them. You're gonna place the arches of your feet, let them drape over the top of the roller. And the roller should be pretty close to you so you can tap it with your fingertips. Now, before you even move, I want you to try and press your feet down into the roller, like you're pinning the roller in place. Once you are pressing the feet down, make sure that you can do so without tucking your tailbone under and smushing your low back into the mat. So you want to be able to push down without changing your pelvic position. Arms are down by your side, and then you can go ahead and lift your hips into a bridge and gently lower the hips back down. Now, if you're feeling cramping in your hamstrings, think of tightening up your butt muscles, the one we just did over the rolling, to support your movement. You can also imagine that you have a little pillow in between your knees that you're trying to hold as you lift up and also as you lower back down. And that should help to stabilize your legs so that the glute muscles themselves can work here. Good. Keep that roller totally still by pushing down into your feet as you lift the hips up. We'll try 4 more here. Drop it back down. Good. Exhale, lift up for 3 and lower back down. Good. Push into the roller for 2 and lower. Good. One last time here. Lift up and lower back down. Tap the hips down and take a little rest. That's it, guys. So you can choose to just come up to a seated position here, but if you'd like to try a challenge, roll your roller away from you, keeping your ankles on the top of the roller. From here, reach your arms long overhead, take an inhale, push your heels down into the roller, and see if you can roll yourself on up to sitting without taking your feet off the roller. It's tricky. It tells you how much your hip flexors are helping your abdominals. You want your abdominals to do that work rather than the hip flexors itself. So that's just a fun little test. You guys can play around with that a bit more, but we're gonna take this roller now lengthwise on our mat. This is where if you have a shorter roller, you will need to modify a little bit. So go ahead and grab a seat right on the end of your roller. We're gonna lie down so that your whole spine is on the roller. So that means the top of your head all the way down to your tailbone. And if you are on a shorter roller, at least get your head and your upper body on the roller. From there, you can either just hold your hips into a little hover or place some pillows underneath your hips. But once you have found this alignment, let your body just get settled on the roller. Feel the heaviness of your head, the back of your shoulders, and tailbone down on the mat. And open up your arms out to the side. We're just gonna take a minute here to feel a nice stretch across the front of our chest. So you wanna allow your shoulders to drape open. This is a spot that also tends to get quite tight from sitting because we round our shoulders forward. So by allowing the shoulders and chest to open up, it'll give us a nice stretch in that tall seated position, making it much easier to sit up. Now, if you feel numbness and tingling in your fingers, bend your elbows just a little bit. And if your 2 arms feel different, you can have one arm up a little bit higher than the other to make sure that you get a good stretch on both sides. So find that sweet spot where you feel a stretch, but not pain or pulling. Your shoulders should be fairly relaxed here, but you can think about that rib cage position, just like we did on the roller earlier, trying to push your ribs down into the back of the roller. And that will actually give you a deeper stretch here. It should also make you more stable on the roller. So we'll try just another moment or two. This type of stretch here is also one that you could do every day. You could do a couple times a day. Since this is passive, it does not create any micro damage to the tissue. You can do this a couple times during the day, especially if you have head, neck, or shoulder discomfort. We'll try one more deep breath in here. And then we're going to take this into a little bit of strengthening work. So take your fingertips down towards the floor. Now, if this is your first time trying this, you're going to start by just marching your feet up one at a time. And I want you to think very similar to that work we did with our back on the roller earlier. Your goal is to stay as still on the roller as possible. If you are on that shorter roller, you can just practice lifting one heel and then the other. Now, if you're someone who's taken my classes before, I want you to pause the next time your left leg is at a tabletop position. See if you're able to lift your left arm. And if you are, and you feel that you can stay fairly stable with your left arm and left leg, you can practice reaching the two away from one another and bringing them together. All the while, pushing down into your right foot for some stability, reaching out, pulling in, reaching out and pulling in. Good. 3 more. And 2. Good. 1 more time. Place your left foot down, left hand down. Bring the right leg up, right arm up. See how you feel on this side. This one might feel quite different. I know this side is trickier for my body. And then you can try that same thing. Go slow. Allow your body to push into the left side for a little bit of extra support and stability here. And just notice that maybe this side is trickier. You may want to spend a little bit more time on this side going forward. 3 more. Good. 2. Last time here. Good. You can bring your hand down, bring your foot down, and we're going to gently, carefully roll off the side, pressing yourself all the way on up. Awesome. So we're going to finish here with one last abdominal challenge, which is a little planking movement. You guys have seen this one in my classes before, and it's a very challenging exercise, but one that I think is worth building up your endurance to. So I'll walk through a couple of steps. You're going to turn that roller back to the perpendicular direction and let the ankle bone itself rest onto the top of the roller. So right between your tibia, that shin bone, and your foot, you want the ankle resting on top of the roller, and then come to an all fours position. So I'm just going to back up a little bit so you guys can see here, hands and knees. Now, if you have a lot of wrist discomfort, you can lower onto your forearms here. So whatever position is comfortable for your body is fine. Now, imagine your back and purposely let the rib cage sag again, and then draw your ribs up towards the ceiling. Try once more, letting the ribs sag, and then lifting your ribs up towards the ceiling and holding it there. Drop your shoulders away from your ears, keeping your neck long. Now imagine that you're balancing a glass of water right on your low back. Without disrupting that water, can you pick your knees up into a hover? And then maybe place them back down. If this is super tricky, I want you to stay here, just practicing lifting the knees up into a hover by pushing down into your hands and feet. If you feel comfortable there, you can lift up and start to roll the roller back behind you, but still keeping that glass of water at your imaginary low back. You can take a rest if needed. I'll demo down on my forearms for that last set there. Same thing, just being in a little decline position. 3 more. Good. 2. Last time there. Come all the way in. And then you can sit your hips back onto your feet, walk your fingertips forward, And take a breath, breathing into the backside of your rib cage. And then very gently coming on up. That one is nice. Obviously, it's a good strengthener both for your shoulder stability, for your core, but you do get a nice massage of those muscles on the front of your shins. So for those of you who have had problems maybe with shin splints or just tightness on the front of your ankle, that is a nice add-on. So that concludes our movement part of the class for today. You guys did awesome. That is not an easy